Hello. Let's now look at vertical and mixed group structures. Vertical and mixed group structures. So you need to determine control in vertical and mixed structures, establish effective control for the purpose of consolidation, and to prepare consolidated financial statement of a complex group. Now, a complex structure exists where a subsidiary has shareholdings in another entity, that is a third entity, described as sub-subsidiary of the ultimate parent, such that the other entity becomes a subsidiary of the ultimate parent. We are describing a situation like this. A controls B and B controls C, such that because B controls C and A controls B, A indirectly controls C. So it's like my mother, myself, and my daughter. My mother has control over me. I have control over my daughter. So indirectly, my mother can control my daughter. That's what we are describing. And sometimes in terms of entities, A may not have any investment in C, or A may have investment in C which doesn't give control, but A gains control because of B. So you must always understand that for this kind of structure, there must be control between A and B for A to have control over C through B. Okay, so a parent entity acquiring subsidiary without directly owning shares or controlling shares. Now, such a structure may be vertical or mixed. Vertical, parent has no shares in the third entity. So we are talking about A having control over B and B having control over C. A, let's say 60%, B, let's say 80%. So A has 60% of B, B has 80% of C. You can see that A itself has no percentage in C, but A controls C because B controls C and A controls B. Okay. Or it may be mixed, where parents has shares in the third entity. So when it is mixed, you have A, B, and C. A has, let's say, 60% in B, B has 80% in C, and A also have 10% in C. So it's mixed because A has both direct shares and indirect shares. Indirect means the holding is through B, but direct means A itself has a direct investment in C. All right. Now let's discuss vertical structure. And we are saying in the vertical structure, the parent indirectly controls the subsidiary through the subsidiary's control over the sub-subsidiary. Parent indirectly controls sub-subsidiary. So we are A is here, B is here, C is here. We are saying A controls C, but it does so through B. So A itself has no direct investment in C, but controls C because it controls B and B controls C. Always remember there must be a control between A and B and control between B and C for A to control C. If B doesn't control C, A cannot control C. If A doesn't control B, A cannot control C through B. So you have to understand the difference. What is important is with vertical structure, A has no direct investment in C. So example, A controls B and B controls C, and this gives A control over C. A will consolidate both B and C, so that is vertical, no direct investment by the parent. When you talk mixed, Then we are talking about a D shape. So it's like this, D shape. So we have A here, we have B here, we have C here. And the description is that A has 60% in B. B has, let's say, 40% in C. And then A has 20% in C, direct investment. So here, A has direct investment in C, B has direct investment in C, and A has indirect investment in C through B. Okay, but there must always be control between A and B for A to be able to control C. All right, so A now has control over C because A has 20, B has 40, so that is 60%. So there is control. A has control over C because A has 20% in B and in C, and B has 40%. So putting A's own 20% and B's 40 together, they have 60%. So A can control C. But there must be control of B for this to work. For this to work. So A controls B. A and B both have shares in C, giving control to A over C. You see? So it can be that B has control or doesn't have control. But if we add the direct and the direct holding of A and the direct holding of B, will we get a controlling interest? The answer is yes. So A can control C. The definition of the control is more important here. All right. So let's take on some examples. And I would want you, as you think about it, to pause yourself and try and figure out what this will mean. H acquired 90% of S on 31st December 2012. H in S, 90%. Then S has investment in T, 80%. So we are saying H itself has no investment in T. But because H control S and S control T, H controls T. And also take note of the date, because you remember, control, you must establish the date control is obtained. Now H control S on 31st December 2012. S control T 31st December 2012. So the H group, both S and T are subsidiaries to H on 31st December 2012. Now, when you come to scenario B, number 2, H acquires 70% of S, 31st December 2012. S acquires 60% of T on 31st December 2014. So this is 2012, this is 2014. Now, we can establish that H controls S and S controls T. So H controls T. But when it comes to the date, you must establish that H had a group which consisted of H and S from 2012, but T only became a member of H group from 2014. So that is important because the date control is achieved is part of consolidation. So you must always take note of that, right? Do the rest as an example for yourself. If you are not able to get it, please post a question on the classroom page or come with it to class and let's have a conversation. Now, in a mixed group, we are saying both A and B have direct investment in C, and therefore A's control is built on the fact that it can tap into B and tap into its own direct control. But the first and foremost is you must establish a relationship, control relationship between A and B. So here we have A acquires 60% of B and 25% of C. So A has 25% in C. B also acquires 30% in C. So here we have a situation like this. We have A, we have B, we have C, and there is also C. So A to C is 25%. A to B is 60%. So you must know that A and B, there is control. But A, 25, is not control. B has 30%. That is also not control. So B doesn't have control over C, but A can control C because 25 plus 30 is 55. So A controls C because it will put its own direct investment in C together with the direct investment of B. But this is only possible because A controls B. So such a situation can help. So you need to see the difference between a mixed group and a vertical group. All right. So again, do the rest and we'll discuss it when we get to class. How then do you account for group structure? Establish control. Make sure there is control. And then calculate effective ownership percentage. So if you take a vertical group A to B to C, remember A has no direct investment. So A has 60 in B, B has 80 in C. So A can control C even though A has no shares in C. Now for the purpose of consolidation, the question is, what percentage must A use? What we are talking about, A controls C, which means we are going to prepare a consolidated financial statement of A plus B plus C. That's what we are going to do. So we are asking, what percentage will A use in C? We know A will use 60 with B. So for B, it is 60, 40, NCI 40. But in C, what is the percentage? And there you have to calculate effective control. Effective control. So since A is going through B, A will take 60% of B's holding in C. So 60% of 80. So A in C will be 48%. And then NCI in C will be what? 52%. This is what is called effective control, effective percentage for the purpose of consolidation. A has no investment in C. So A directly cannot be using a percentage, but A will take its share of what B has in C as its percentage. So you can see that it's 48. It's not even up to 50. But A has control because A still can call the shot. If you remember when we did control and define control, we explained that control is not just about the percentages. It's about, do you have the right? Do you have contractual rights? Do you have an agreement? Can you, control the decision making of the investee? And you can see that when they go for a meeting, A can tell B what to do because A controls B. And that's where the control is coming from. If you think about an effective interest in a mixed group, here you have A having, let's say, 60% in B, and then B having 40% in C, and A also having 20% in C. Okay, A in B is 60, so NCI will be 40. Now, A in C will be 60% of 40, 6, 4, 24. So it will be 24% plus its own direct percentage of 20. 6 for 24 plus its own direct percentage of 20. So its total effective control interest is 44%, and therefore NCI will be 56%. But A has control because B has 40 in C and A has 20. This is what established that there is control. But if you are coming to share profit or loss, the question is, what percentage do you use? You use 44 and 56. You need to pay attention to how to calculate effective interest for the purpose of consolidation, for the purpose of sharing profit or loss. Okay, let's continue. Now, once you establish the control, you will calculate what is called indirect holding adjustment, and calculate goodwill. You know, the whole thing about consolidation is you have established control. Once you establish control, you must calculate goodwill. And therefore, in terms of complex group vertical mix, there will be what is called the indirect holding adjustment, and it will be done as part of the calculation of goodwill. And once you calculate goodwill, you can go ahead and consolidate, performing all the necessary adjustments we have already learned under basic. That is why the basic is very important. I'm not going to teach anything new except how to establish the effective control. That's all we are bringing to the table. So once you are determined that there is control and you calculate the effective percentages, you go ahead and consolidate. You calculate goodwill the way we know how to calculate it, and then you do all the adjustment the way we already know how to do it. So it's important that you pay attention to these things in complex structures. Thank you.